And welcome back to your Caribou Data Science Channel, America. This is Sunday, October the 10th, 2020. It's time for your COVID-19 daily COVID-19 analysis. Of course, because this is Sunday, you don't get two, but you get three reports for the price of one today. That's right. In addition to your daily COVID-19 analysis, you get your weekly vaccine report, and you get a few extra analysis looks using histograms and block plots, okay? Of course, before we get started, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, click on the share button, share the video on Facebook and Twitter. You can also share the video in an email or text message. Of course, a couple other special favors I asked of you today. If you click on the description to the video, you're going to see two links. The first link is a link to my live Twitch stream, Dave's Data Analytics channel, Dave's Data Analytics on Twitch. Tonight at 8 p.m., I'll be doing a live stream of our programming and data analytics. Okay? Be sure to come back and join me tonight at 8 p.m. New York time. Secondly, I need your help to get a Twitter account up and running. I currently have four followers. I'd appreciate it very much if you click on that Twitter link, follow me on Twitter today, drop me a note, and let me know who you are and where you're from, and also just any suggestions you may have as far as content. Okay, so let's begin with the vaccine rollout report. What would happen if you did a coordinate flip on a histogram? Anyway, as you can see here, currently the U.S. has administered 401 million doses. Of those doses, 216 million have received a single dose, while 187 million have been fully vaccinated. The percentage-wise, 65.1% of the population has received a single dose, and 56% of the population have received the full dose. Now let's take a look at something a little different. We're going to take a look at some different ways to view data. Let's come up here. Let's do this one first. Now, what can we conclude from this plot here? Well, first of all, we can conclude that it's skewed to the right. It's probably unsymmetric, and it's probably unimodal. We would also conclude, because the skew is to the right, that the average will be to the left of the median. The black line's the median. Let's take a look at the, well, this should be as no surprise, right? I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. Obviously, you can see here that it is skewed to the right. I'm still, even we got this dip here, I don't think that's enough to really cause a major drop. Okay. It is sort of interesting how if you look at these two numbers here, we've lost the gap here. Okay. We lost the gap, but in both cases, you can see the average line is to the right or ahead of the median line. So we may be able to conclude that in a right skewed histogram, the average or the mean is going to be to the right of the median. The two dashed lines are the plus or minus one standard deviation. And in theory, 70% of the numbers should fall between these two dashed lines. The same thing over here. Okay? So now let's take a look at the second half of the problem. Okay, this first two plots, by the way, let's look, and those are actually deaths. So let's take a look at the at cases. Now again, we're going to say that this is obviously skewed to the right with some outliers over here. Okay, unimodal, unsymmetric. Okay, with a lot of outliers in 2020. This is sort of interesting. Okay, so what you're going to see a plot like this. Okay, what about the histogram? Like we said, unimodal, skewed to the right. 20, 2021 actually had some outliers here, but so did, and again, you can see because it's skewed to the right, the mean line is to the right of the median. And again, plus or minus one standard deviation. Okay, that concludes the fun stuff. Let's get back to the other numbers. Now, one of the curious things about the way about the way COVID-19 cases and deaths are counted in America is the count from the first case and the first death back in 2020. Now, why that's unusual is because with other diseases, I can't say cancer or heart disease, which by the way, cancer and heart disease both kill more people per year than COVID-19 did. But anyway, with those two diseases, cancer, heart disease, those are counted 1 year at a time. So every year on January 1st, the counter for cancers and heart disease deaths is set back to zero. But yet with COVID-19, we're tracking it from the day of the first case and the day of the first death. So this means that so far we have 44.3 million cases since January 2021 and 712,972 deaths since the end of February 2021. Okay? Sorry, 712,972 deaths since the end of February of 2020. So now here's the cases for this year. 14-day average declining all the way down to July. Then in July, the numbers began to increase again. Here's a question. Is the news media in America being a lot kinder to the Biden administration over COVID-19 than they were to Donald Trump? I just noticed a couple times that there's just been some positive stories, COVID-19 stories over the last week or so. Okay? But anyway, how many people here were vaccinated? Okay? What about deaths? A long declining pattern in deaths. And in July, we saw an increase in deaths. How many people here were vaccinated? As you can see, 2021 cases have passed 2020 cases, despite a massive vaccination effort. How many people were vaccinated? Okay. Deaths have caught and passed 2020 deaths. And again, how many of these people were vaccinated? So despite a massive vaccination effort, people are still dying. More people have died from COVID-19 in 2020 than in 2020. Despite a massive vaccination effort, more people have died from COVID-19 in 2021 than 2020. Now, what we're interested in here, just look at the numbers from July to July. They're almost a mirror image of each other. 2020 goes up, 2021 comes down. Same way with deaths. Okay. Now what's this? This is the cases by quarter. And the third quarter of 2021 was the third most cases so far for the third most quarter so far for total number of cases. What about deaths? Well, unfortunately, the third quarter of 2021 was also the third most deaths. Now we can take a look in here. This is a little hard to read, but I should change this. Okay. So what you see here is, as of October 9th, we had 27,501 cases per day, with an average of 100,344 cases per day. Here you can see the cases by week. This big a long declining pattern in beginning in the first part of the year. Then in July we saw an increase of 5, 6, 7 weeks, followed by a 5-week decline here. Now, what we got here is this is deaths by week. And you can see again this big, not this big, but you can see this spike here. And the question is, how many of these people are vaccinated? Of course, we know what the answer is, right? It's Delta variant. This has nothing to do with vaccine because the vaccine doesn't protect us from Delta variant. Okay? So you can see this increase here in deaths here, followed by a 2-week decline in deaths. Okay? What about monthly cases? What you can see here is that, well, August, September were the fourth and fifth most cases months so far for cases. And again, August, September were September was the fourth most, was the fourth most month for deaths. And so, and August deaths were actually a little lower. They were below these numbers here. Okay. And what this number here tells us roughly is that this is the number of people per 100,000 that have COVID-19 right now. That number stands for 25 people in the U.S. right now. For every 100,000 people, 25 people in the U.S. have COVID-19. Now, what about deaths? Well, this line right here is 1/2 of a person. So for every 100,000 people in the U.S. today, 1/2 of a person is dying from COVID-19. Now, remember back in the spring when the buzzword was flattening the curve. Well, we did achieve a little bit of flattening finally in 2021, but even it was a little bit of flattening, even though it continued to go up. It didn't go up as steeply, but it really wasn't a flatten in that case, was it? It was just a declining in the number of cases per day. Now you can see it's beginning to increase more quickly. So that's cases. We did see a slight easing up of deaths in the first part of the year, but now that those numbers are beginning to increase. Okay, so America. That does conclude your report for today. Thanks so much for stopping by. Before I let you go, you know my laundry list, right? Subscribe to the channel, like the video, click on the share button, share the video on Facebook, on Twitter. You can also copy and paste the link into an email or text message. Finally, if you click on the description below, you're going to see 2 links. If you're interested in data analytics on our programming, join me tonight at 8 p.m. on Twitch for Dave's Data Analytic live stream. That's that first link there. The second link is I need your help in getting a Twitter channel up and going. Click on that. I'd appreciate if you click on the Twitter link. Follow me on Twitter today. Thanks so much for your time, America. We'll see you tomorrow with an updated report.